Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today, we are speaking with a 55-year-old judge, promoter, MC, expediter, stage marshal, and of course, IFBB Bikini Pro, which she earned in 2019 at North Americans. She has been the director of social media for the Canadian Physique Alliance, along with working for Strong Fitness magazine and various American platforms as well. She is married to a firefighter and has two children who have been her rock as their family. And she's just succeeded in this sport, not just on the stage, of course, but she's succeeding in life as well. Navigating 3 autoimmune diseases and losing loved ones, it's been clear how much resilience she has. So I'm excited to finally speak with her. And what's really cool is she actually started her journey at 17 years old and watched her first bodybuilding event in 1989 and has been hooked ever since. So welcome to the show, Cindy Van EMPEL-POPOWICH. How are you doing?
I am doing great. That was an earful. That's even tiring to me.
It was great to read it personally, and I'm so happy you're here.
I do have to interject on one thing. I judged one show and swore that I would never do it again because I just can't sit that long.
Really? So you actually don't continuously judge?
No. And my hat's off to those incredible people because it's tough. It is so tough. I enjoyed it because it was one more thing to say that I checked off the list. And I was accredited as a judge. So I never want to do it again.
I get that. It's kind of like when you go to school for something, you get the degree, you're like, I didn't really like it though. So
Yeah, no, I like I said, I think it's very special people that fill that role. I am not that person.
it's good to know that. It's actually, well, we'll have a lot to talk about. And before we get into all that, because I have to ask this question before I do, it kind of sets the stage. Is there anything you do or think about, or maybe a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I've never once walked into a show and said, I've got this. Never. I've said, you know, I've worked really hard. I would love a top 5. But my main thing I say before each time I step on stage is don't let my feet fail me.
Ooh,
Don't
yeah.
let my feet fail me. Anything else, the work's been done, the diet's been done, the tan, the makeup, the hair. I don't have control over who I'm standing beside. I don't have control of who's sitting at the judging panel and what they're looking for that day. But the only thing I hope, and I usually say a little prayer about, is that my feet don't fail me and that my routine is clean and that my presentation is flawless and that they feel my passion as I'm unfolding this presentation. That's
I
it.
have felt your passion just from watching videos of you on stage. Like you are radiant and you are captivating, and it's incredibly inspiring, especially for me as someone who wants to be in this sport for a very long time. I love interviewing masters competitors. I love hearing these stories. I love knowing how you guys navigate it because I hope to one day do that. I just think it's wonderful that this is a lifelong sport.
My first show was bodybuilding. I've done bodybuilding, I've done
Wow.
figure, and we didn't have bikini, and I wasn't exactly a very big girl, but I had a pro bodybuilder train me. She got a hold of me and she said, "You're just shredded, but you're so tiny and you're so strong. Do you want me to train you and see where this goes?" And this was 1993. And I'm like, oh my God, she was so intimidating. She
Yeah.
was huge. She was an IFBB pro bodybuilder. Her name is
Wow.
Laura Carolan. Outstanding, mind-blowing physique. And she started training me. And I remember I weighed in something like, I don't know, 102 pounds at
No way.
5'4¾" and 122. I think I was 100 pounds. So she trained me for that, like, from, I think we got together in September, and then by May I was 127 pounds. She had me eating so much food and training so hard, and she trained with me every day, and I won bodybuilding, this little pipsqueak, but I was shredded. And I had this amazing routine, and I did it to Tina Turner. And if there's
Oh,
anyone
that's
that's gonna,
awesome.
you're right. So the longevity is because I've done it right, and I've had the right people present in my life, my coach, my physicians. There's such a team involvement. It's unreal. But I had one thing that none of them can contribute: passion,
Yeah.
drive, determination. And the underlying reason being this skinny little girl who was teased
Mm.
relentlessly. That was my driving force. And I wanted to hear my name. I wanted to hear my name. I didn't want to be introduced, through the course of your youth. We're so impressionable when we're young. And there were a lot of occasions where I was introduced as someone's girlfriend without being given a name.
Mm-hmm.
Just, hey, this is so and so's girlfriend. And I'd be like, oh, hi. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say my name. And that happened for a little while. And it plays on your self esteem. And then she got a hold of me, and she made me so strong physically and emotionally, because every day the positive affirmations that she drove into me
Mm-hmm.
were priceless. And
Yeah.
every girl needs that woman in their life. Every young girl needs that woman in their life saying, "You're incredible, you're strong, you're resilient, be determined, go after it, be forceful, speak
Mm.
out." So when I heard, "And you're winner of the Sudbury overall bodybuilding champion, Cindy Van Empel," I was like, I'm never going to not have a name again.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a
Wow.
name. I have a name, and I'm proud to say it. And I'm even more so grateful to hear it. I walk in gratitude because I know what it was like feeling nameless,
Mm.
basically. So, a big message that masters, older women, girlfriends, sisters, siblings, mothers, we need to really instill positive affirmations into our young girls.
Oh my goodness. I could not echo that more. The amount of clients that I work with as a mental health professional who
Oh,
struggle with their self-esteem and self-affect, and generally I find and trace so much of it back to things that they heard as a young girl from adult women, specifically usually their mother or grandmother, aunts, people in their life who you would normally hope would be inspiring, empowering, uplifting, encouraging, more so tearing down. And I'm really interested in hearing how your philosophy of not wanting to never have a name again has influenced you. Like, why do you think it's actually important that people have a name?
well, personally, um, I was never that girl again. I became so outgoing. So I competed in 1994, and it was very evident that with my physique, it would be really difficult for me to progress in bodybuilding. I was very successful. It was a small show. I won it. It just wasn't feasible to move on in that direction.
Oh.
So the promoter of that show, now the president of the federation, took me under his wing. His name is Ron Hashing, and he mentored me. I followed that poor man around like a puppy, but I went to his shows. I worked his shows. I got more and more involved, and I knew it was where I belonged. I
Mm.
just didn't know how to carve out my place. And then in 1999 or 1998, sorry, I took over the show,
Hmm.
and I took it over with my best friend, and we ran it. And that was the first time I emceed a show. I had never emceed before. I stepped up, I grabbed the mic, and it was effortless. It
Wow.
was, it was like, it's like I'd always been up there. And it didn't make sense because I wasn't that little girl who was so outgoing and flamboyant and whatever. I stepped on that stage, and in that moment, and leading up to that, I knew I really liked being a promoter. But when I took that mic and I started introducing the competitors, introducing the judges panel, cracking jokes, I was home.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I was home. So competing took a back seat for, oh my goodness, 13 years.
Yeah.
I just wanted to host shows. I traveled so much. We ran our show until 2003. And then I had my son, and I was breastfeeding him backstage
Wow.
and decided that I didn't want the two of those things at the
Mm.
same time.
Hmm.
So again, the paths separate, like the bodybuilder separated from the promoter. Now the promoter and the MC is separating to become a mother. And I never thought twice about it. I was like, yep, this is just not the end all be all right now. My husband and I had gotten together. You'll have to excuse my voice too. I had a touch of a cold.
No.
But my husband and I got together in 2001, June 2001. We were engaged in July and pregnant in August.
That's awesome. So when you know, right?
I was 32. He was 31. It was done. Like, you know how they say when it's the right one, it's like a slap and you
Yeah.
just know. Oh my heavens. It was so powerful. So here we, fast tracked into this relationship, had this incredible baby boy, and I decided I'd step away. And we had Aiden in 2002, and Avery came in 2005. I'd have
Wow.
been 30, I think I was 37 when I had Avery. And then 6 years. So in 2008, I came back in,
Wow.
40 years old.
So how old were both your children at that point?
Avery was a peanut. Oh my God, I don't even know how old they were. I know that she was just a little thing, just this little, oh my gosh, 2000, okay, so there's 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, like 5,
Wow.
6, 4.
Wow.
She's 19 now. But
Yeah.
yeah, they both came. That's the only show that they've ever come to that I competed in, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just little peanuts. So I did, and even integrating back in when I came out
Yeah.
at 40, I didn't do the federation that I had grown into because at that time they still didn't have anything for someone
That's
who
right.
is
It was only
I had atrophied.
2008. Yeah.
Yeah, I had atrophied. So I did some fitness model stuff, and I did a couple of shows, two different federations, and then I got the bug again. So in 2009, I came back, and in my hometown, I did figure, and I won
Wow.
open, I won masters, I won the overall. It was like, okay, here we go again, game on.
Did that set did that set the fire again
Oh,
more than okay.
I didn't stop after that. Actually, yeah, no, I did. So leading into the 2009 show, there was a reason for me competing again. So my father had just passed, and my mother was not a terrible fan of me bodybuilding. She didn't like women with muscle. And she used to say to me, I had a girl, not a boy.
Whoa.
Yes, but understand too, my mother was very late in life having me. So
Mm,
old school, right?
very, yeah.
Yeah, so she'd say that. And then my father passed of Alzheimer's.
Mm.
And she said to me, she said, well, you best get back at it, right? I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Your dad did all of that. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, you have to compete again. Really? And she's
Oh.
like, yeah, you should get back up there and just tell me what I'm supposed to do. I said, well, it would just be nice if you're happy. That would make me happy. And if you're okay with me being muscular, that would make me really happy because it doesn't make me any less of a woman. I'm just a strong woman. And she's like, okay. So her and my aunt and yeah, my kids, my husband, they all came and watched me and I kicked ass. And she was
Yeah.
so proud. She was
Oh,
like, she was the loudest one
that's
there.
awesome.
Yeah, so she understood because she understood because she saw me on stage and
Mm,
what that brought out of me. So 2009, I jumped into figure. I did figure. I was going to go to provincials, and I was told, pull back. Let's
mm.
give yourself a year to get a little bit bigger. I'm like, okay,
This is for figure at the time still, right? There
yeah,
wasn't really
yeah.
bikini till
We
like
didn't have bikini,
10. Yeah.
right? So then the next kick in the stomach, my husband is diagnosed with cancer in 2010. It was stage 3 colorectal cancer.
Wow.
It was very bad, very bad. He had the surgery. He went septic with the surgery, so he almost died with the surgery. And then he was allergic to the chemo. So there were a number of times where the phrase was, are your husband's affairs in order?
Mm, mm, mm.
And there are some phrases that bring on like PTSD for people. That would
Mm.
be one of them.
Oh yeah.
But he kicked it. He fought so hard. And at the time, my children were 4 and 7. It was the hardest fight, the most exhausted beyond words
Mm,
I've ever been in my life. And I refused to help. No one could help me because I was going to take care of everything.
mm,
It was ridiculous.
mm,
So, in that one episode in life, my advice is anyone in a family where someone is battling cancer, everybody has cancer. And you
mm,
need to take every ounce of help that is offered to you because it is exhausting, emotionally exhausting, debilitating. But he's the strongest guy in the world, and he's my miracle baby. So
mm.
he kicked it. It took about a year, and yeah, he beat cancer. So again, the conversation came, well, I beat it. You should probably compete now.
Yeah, you just took care of me for all this time.
Yeah. So at that time, I went to Toronto, and Mindy O'Brien and Nina Luchka,
Mhm.
both IFBB pros at the time, had a show in Port Credit, Ontario. Beautiful little small town. I went there with next to no muscle, and I competed in bikini. And in the open, there was no masters. In the open, I got top 5. So I qualified to go to the provincials.
Right.
And this time I went.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, I'm going. And this was the inception of the Toronto Pro Super Show.
Wow.
So I did the open, I did the masters, and I was the only masters bikini competitor in the entire show.
That's awesome.
So I won.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually, oh my God. I
That's so
got,
awesome. I love that.
and Sean Ray was the MC, and
Uh-huh.
he goes, sorry, you're the only one, but you look really good.
Oh my goodness.
It was so funny because he was like, I think he was lost. Like, what do I even say here?
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. It was an
It's not
incredible
like you're
experience.
winning because you're the only one. You also look good, is what he's trying to say.
But you look really good though.
Yeah.
And at the Toronto Pro Super Show, I had worked the registration. I helped run, I co-hosted the model search and competed. So I helped with registration. I competed in the provincials, and I hosted a show all that weekend. It was crazy.
Wow. That's a crazy weekend. And just, oh my goodness, I've been taking notes because there's so many things that I want to
I
like.
know, I'm like,
Oh, it's great though because it gets me going and I like that. It's so nice and I'm captivated, Like I'm like what's next? What's happened? And there's
oh,
it's a journey for sure because even though you went and you won that at provincials, it still took you until let me go back to my notes here, 2019. So what happened in those 5 years?
so after the provincials, I met or was reunited, I guess, with this girl, Tammy Beckers.
Okay.
She was doing the nationals in Saskatoon, Canada. She's like, you should do the nationals. I'm like, I should do the nationals. I talked to my husband. He's like, do the nationals.
Uh-huh.
So I go to Saskatoon with Tammy. I room with her. I'm haywire. I'm like such a hate. She's just like culture shock because I'm just so excited to be there, right?
Uh-huh.
I end up placing second at my first national show. So I was this close to a pro card in 2011. It didn't happen.
Whoa.
I know. So after the nationals, she's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go do the North Americans in Cleveland. I'm like, I'm going to go do the North
Yeah, you came
Cleveland.
so close.
So we all jumped in her Hummer and we drove to Cleveland.
Wow.
And that was the birthplace of the most incredible friendship that
Oh,
has blossomed since. We have gone everywhere together.
wow.
Like, so that's 2011. I think 2012, I went back to nationals again. I think it was a third place that time. I went back 13, 14. And each time I went to the North Americans too, I was always top 5. But I had like outside of competing, I had so many responsibilities um, that I never, the goal was never the pro card. I
Mhm.
was a pioneer. I was one of the
Exactly.
first masters. So
Exactly.
yeah, I don't think, and I was not raised to be that I was not raised to be confident in that way, that I would be like, I'm going for my pro card. No, I'm going and I just hope I do really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you're a complete hypocrite if you say, I'm gonna win this show. You have no idea who's worked, who's showing up. There are people that are outworking you. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, there are people that are genetic anomalies that are
Mm-hmm.
going to beat you. I just always wanted to walk into a show in a place of humility and gratitude.
When I earned my bachelor's degree in psychology and went on to earn my clinical mental health counseling degree and even become a national certified counselor, I knew I wanted to bridge the gap between competitors and mental health professionals. Too often, athletes are told that they can't compete and have a healthy relationship with food or their body. And I absolutely disagree with that. I have helped thousands of women globally to build more than just a body by combining psychology, personal development, mindfulness, and my signature peace through growth process. If you are struggling with the post show blues, or you're struggling with adherence to your prep, or any aspect of your relationship with food, your body image, or overall commitment to your goals, I have tons of resources available for you over at www.celestial.fit. Things like a free food relationship coaching series, free post-show blues coaching series, a full competitor card deck with statements to use for affirmations, journal prompts to go through, and even action and behavior changes that you can implement right away. I really believe that by prioritizing the inner work and developing a healthy mindset, competitors can have a more fulfilling journey. And I know the mental side of this sport is really key to establishing longevity, ending the yo-yoing from show to show, and really establishing goals that span well beyond the stage. If you're looking for that support, head over to www.celestial.fit, where you can find tons of free resources or even apply to work with me. You know, it reminds me a lot of like the kind of like this evolution and a lot of competitors now. Like back then you were really pioneering, like you said, it was from start of bikini and
Mhm.
even prior to bikini. And now it's very well established. And I think what we see, and I can speak to this as my experience as a competitor, is like you kind of come into it with this naivety, whatever, that you're going to do really well, you're going to get rewarded right away. And for some people, that's true. And then what I've personally found, and I'm not saying this has to be for everybody, but like for me, 2018 launched this podcast. And I'm like, huh. And then you said in the very beginning, you said you found your place, really. You found where you belonged. You found your home. You found your purpose, like that niche, like how you could contribute. I found mine. And for me, that actually it immersed me so much into the sport and then the mental health side of things. And then that now my mindset as a competitor now is so detached from an outcome because of exactly what you just said, which is the pioneering, the trailblazing, the impact. That means so much more as an athlete. And you can still want to win and have the will to win and work to win. You have won
Mhm.
many times. It's just also recognizing your worth is not in that. And if that's the only thing that drives you as a competitor, so much so that then you go into shows thinking it's owed to you, you might kind of actually sabotage yourself, I think.
Oh, for sure. There was a show because in 2018, we went through a divide, our federation. We aligned ourselves with the IFBB in 2018. There was a show leading up to that. It was right after I'd done nationals. I had done very, very well at nationals. I placed seventh in the show the day before we made this change.
Hmm.
And I remember speaking with our Canadian head judge, and he said to me, and it was between pre-judge and finals for this show. He said to me, I don't blame you if you don't go back up there, because it was political. It was obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, but you're in your province and these are your friends. They're watching you, they're cheering you on. So I hope you go back up and you go back out there and finish this day. And I'm like, I'm going to. I'm so totally going to. But that day was the first time I ever said, I am so done with this. I'm so grateful that we did make the switch over to the IFBB or IFBB Pro League,
Right.
because when we were the CBBF, we were herded like cattle at shows, at national shows. You were ridiculed on stage. You were belittled. The registrations were there was a registration that I did was 6 hours long. I had a registration where my shoes were disqualified, myself along with, I don't know, 20, 30 other women. It was such a toxic environment. And having been in it for so long, and at that point, I'm a master. I'm in my 40s. I'm like, I'm so done with this.
Yeah.
And it's not okay to treat people this way. And thankfully, our president, this ballsy move, courageous move, took us over to the IFBB Pro League and leads us now alongside of Mr. Mannion and his son, grandson Tyler Mannion. It's such a difference, and I got to live that. I got to see what it was to what it is, and the opportunities, and so many things changed. So I think it's a positive. Well, I know it's a positive thing, and it's so much better for the youth now. But what I will say is, being a bodybuilder in the um, late 80s and early 90s, right up to 2000, before social media.
Yeah.
God, I wish people had that opportunity to feel that,
Mm.
because you were doing it for a whole different reason. It wasn't
Mhm.
likes, it wasn't follows. You were doing it for your best friends that were working out with you. You were doing it, you'd be lucky if you got in the local newspaper or featured on the local news. If you were lifting and punishing yourself every day, and if you were eating baby food out of the jar and
Mhm.
inside round steak and cans of tuna, back then the eating was even different. If
Yeah.
you did all that and you stuck with it, it was in your blood.
Mm.
It was rooted in your veins. And when
Mhm.
you talk to people that come from the 90s, come from the 80s, their stories are different. They're rooted like an oak. My roots are so deep in this sport. I swear it's in my veins.
Mm.
So I think everybody should watch Pumping Iron. I
Oh,
think,
me too. Oh my
I think that
gosh.
should be a prerequisite because it was so different, so fun. Um, I like now day and age too. Obviously, I have a platform, I have sponsors, I do videos, I do photo shoots. I love it all. But I worked my life to get to it. And the one thing that I do see a little bit now that I wish be different would
Mhm.
be less entitlement. You mentioned it.
Yep.
You mentioned it. You said people go in, they want to do a show, and they want to win right away. They want their pro card right away. Some deserve it. Some
Mhm.
totally do. Their physiques are incredible. But that aura of entitlement, of wanting what someone else has, and that someone worked their life, it just undermines it
Mhm.
a little bit. So I would like to see our generation, our younger generation, um, respect the ones that laid the pavement just a little bit more.
Agreed. That's what I find so fascinating when I get to speak with people who were in it from the beginning is it's a history lesson as well. And when you read about like a history of bodybuilding, or you see bodybuilders who have been in it for so long, it gives you perspective. History in any sense, in any area of life, gives you perspective and context and insight. And I think because things are so fast and right now, and we can find it and we can get it, we miss out on a lot of the wisdom that is in that beginning and that forged it. And you talked about the joining of the forces where you guys actually joined the IFBB Pro League, and you have witnessed the change. You've witnessed the experience. How do you feel your personal experience as a Canadian athlete actually has supported you in making an impact in the different jobs you have and the work you do, and in both America and Canada, and for all these different roles that you have?
I think I'm the perfect fit for running our platform as far as social media for Canada. I consider myself a safe space.
Mm.
I I run on behalf of the president. I run the platform in a manner that I want competitors to come there, the good, the bad, the questions, but that they know that it's safe. It's just me. It's only me running it. If there's a question, it goes to the president, comes back to me, I respond. The content on the page is discussed with the president. I
Mm.
do not make decisions on that front of the page. We have a system. I don't have to ask him everything. We have a system. But anything new, anything happening, there's a discussion happening. But in the DMs, that's a safe space.
Mm.
And these competitors should have that safe space. So I think what I bring to the table, having that maturity behind me and the experience, I think it's important in that regard. Working with the states, working with France. I'm bilingual, so France, I can kind of MacGyver it, and we're building a great platform there, or the president is, with a gentleman that manages in the UK, Ian Constable. So Ron and Ian are building France, partnered with the IFBB. It's going to be amazing. These athletes are going to have so many opportunities, and that was lacking. So there's always this innovation to expand and to give and to grow. And that's what this should be about. It should be about growth, advancement. We have muscle wear now, shows, registrations,
Yeah.
music, everything's different now. We showed up with like a CD back in the day.
With probably a boombox to put through the speaker.
You
Yeah.
know, we did our own tan. We didn't have hair and makeup. Things have evolved so much to benefit the athletes, to benefit the sponsors, to benefit the shows. We need all of those pieces in play to build and be strong.
Mhm.
Um, I have so much respect for the Manions and that platform and what they've created. I wish I would have met the Weeders. That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Arnold contributes so much. You know, like there's so many. I met Maria Shriver at the Arnolds. I was like awestruck,
Yeah.
awestruck. This
I'm sure.
Canadian girl meets Maria Shriver.
Yeah. At a bodybuilding
Crazy.
show.
At a, at Arnold's 40, and I was there on my 40th. It was a birthday gift for my 40th. And
Wow.
she looks at me. She's standing, waiting at a canteen to get like a pop or something. And she looks at me. She goes, "Oh, hi." I'm like, right away.
Yes.
And I couldn't even speak. She's
Oh.
like, "Are you competing?" And I'm like, I said, "No, it was a birthday present." I said, "You're Maria." She's like, "Yes."
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. And I was walking into the elevator in the host hotel. I was staying there. And I was walking in, and Lou Ferrigno was walking out and rammed me and caught me.
Oh my goodness.
Preach, sister,
Yeah.
because I've had some really cool, profound butterfly.
Mm.
Linda Murray. Linda
Oh,
Murray.
she's amazing. She's one
She,
of the most rare gems.
oh, she's exquisite,
Yeah.
timeless, classy,
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
I met her at the Toronto Super Show. She spoke to me like she'd known me forever. This
Yep.
is this is such an incredible industry
Mm.
if it's done right and healthy.
Yeah. There's something I want to go back to. You used the term safe space, and I would probably kick myself if I didn't mention this. I think it's important also that there's a woman behind that. And so I don't know if that's going to sound controversial, and I hope that doesn't come back to bite me, but I think that there's things that can happen that put women in an uneasy spot, and things that people don't want to talk about, they don't want to share that happened, and they want to have a place that they can go. When you had said something you would change about the industry, I was like, maybe Cindy's a good person for me to mention this to, and probably not the best time to do it live, but I'm going to do it anyway. Um,
Do it.
I think it would be hugely beneficial if there was some sort of third party, maybe communication or safety, some sort of committee that people could go to with maybe concerning experiences that could actually be a threat to the NPC and the IFBB. I've heard, stories that are not so representative of the actual experience that I think we can and should be having and promoting as athletes. That I think it would be like, obviously, it's good. Like I said, you're a woman, so it's nice to know that someone can come to you and say, this is what's going on or what's happened. But we see and we hear about these things after so much has already gone down, and then people leave and not come back. That's something I was talking about with some other women recently. Like, we think it could be so beneficial to have some sort of like platform people could go to that feels safe and not like it'll affect them.
You're absolutely right. So there's due diligence on the party that is affected and who they're reporting to. So let's say, you're using case in point, a woman who is maybe put in a situation she's not comfortable with,
Mhm.
doesn't know what to do, doesn't want it to affect her career as a competitor.
Yep.
I think across the board, in any scope of life, fitness, school, work, if you are ever in fear, you go to the police, you get
Mm,
a report, you file a report, whether it manifests to anything else.
yeah.
I'm not a police officer, I'm not a lawyer, but if you do your due diligence to protect yourself, that the first thing you do is you report something happening. Get counseling on something that may have happened
Mm,
from someone in the field of law. And then you go to that school, federation, job, and say, this happened to me. Here's a rundown of what happened.
mm,
I have filed a police report
mm.
because there's a shade of gray here
Yeah.
all across the board, not just in fitness. But we're not the law. Let's say um someone go, because let's face it, racism, big
Mhm,
topic
mhm,
everywhere. Let's say someone screenshots a comment under a photo and it's a racist comment. The person goes to that person's Instagram account. Well, they competed.
mm.
So I'm going to go to where they competed because
Right.
it shows that they follow them. And I'm going to tell that person, well, the person that is a member of your federation is a
Right.
race. What, what does federation do? We
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can't make those judgment calls. You can't.
Mhm.
But if you're a person in fear, you go to the police. You get a report. You protect yourself with the things at your disposal. If you have done all of these things and you need to just put it on report, let's say someone is messaging you constantly, shows up at your show, says he's
Mhm.
going to show up at another show. Well, you should totally report that to the police. Give that document a scan, send it to the promoter of your show.
Mhm.
Their job is to keep you safe too.
Yeah.
So there are things that common sense to me, common sense. It's not when you're I was stalked in
Mhm.
1992. I've never been the same person since.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of my
Mhm.
surroundings, and we have to be
Yep.
always. But there are tools out there, and there is a process, in my opinion. This is all in my opinion, by the way.
Right.
Validate, go to battle for yourself,
Mhm.
find out what you need to do, and then alert people, alert the federation, alert. I've had people message with stuff. I've documented everything, put all the photos together. I send it to the president for your information. This should be recorded.
See,
Okay.
that's good to hear. Like
Yeah,
that's interesting. I'm glad to hear that actually, because I think
that is
people
what
need
I do.
yeah, people need to know there's someone who they can go to that's gonna be able to um represent them well.
Will it will it fix anything? I don't know, but there have been instances where an individual is not allowed in a show
Right?
because that person had a document
Mm.
that there was a peace bond, a restraining order. Well, we follow those things. You
Yeah.
have to. It's a law. Basically, I'm saying if you have a document from the law is followed.
Mhm.
And no promoter wants anyone to be at risk. Nobody wants that. I don't know of anybody that want that. So I think for the most part, it might be handled differently. I can't speak on behalf of the NPC or the IFBB, but I do know any show that I've done numerous American shows, that backstage, that's holy ground.
Yeah, it's so protected.
That
That's good
backstage,
for people to know when they're listening to this too, if they've not competed. Like you're very safe backstage.
I feel I feel that I've never walked into a situation where I wasn't where I felt uncomfortable. Never. Not in an NPC event, not in an IFBB event, and not at a Canadian Physique Alliance event either.
Hmm.
The backstage, the people we have at those doors, you do not want to mess with them. One is a lady who's 4'10 with a
Yeah.
bark that puts the fear of God in you. So
That's awesome.
I think we do as much as we can, but I
Yeah.
don't think it'll ever be perfect.
Right.
And
And like you
there are
said,
some that abuse it.
yeah, yeah. And that's where I think the growth of the industry comes into play and people working together to do that. And even us having this conversation, like it demonstrates people are willing to have this conversation and it's a good thing and we care. And I
Oh my
think
God, too much.
yeah.
I worry and care. My nickname is Mama. I'll get
Um,
I'll get DMs. Hey, Mama.
I love that.
I do too. And some people go, I wouldn't want anyone calling me Mama. Are you kidding me? That's the
Oh,
highest regard.
yeah.
I take that and I'm very proud of that. I have no problem with being called Mama.
Oh, I love that so much. You know, I think you have so much experience in this industry. You've been in these different roles, right? Like we said in the beginning, MC, stage marshal, expediting, promoting. One time you judged. So
One time.
So, what's your favorite of all of those?
Oh, you silly girl. That's a tough one. What's my favorite? I just hosted a show in Victoria. It's the best show I've ever done. It was my first pro show
Wow,
hosting. It was an all-woman show. It was
that's
the first
cool.
time working with American judges. It was
Oh.
amazing. I love hosting. I love competing. I
Mhm.
couldn't give up hosting to compete because hosting makes me love the stage so much more. I love
Mhm.
traveling with Tammy. I look forward to it so much because it's just ours. It's
Yeah.
ours. I can't tell you. I couldn't bear losing any of them.
Yeah.
I love the pages. I love pumping out information. I love loving a post when someone is so excited, and I love
Yeah.
going to the person who's devastated because they lost and
Mhm.
sharing with them. You know what? I got creamed at a show and I came back stronger, harder, resilient. Let's
Yeah.
go, you know? I had a
So,
judge tell me I was horrible at bikini.
what? And now look at you.
He told me, he said, I just can't see you as anything but figure. Like you just don't, I don't know. And he was the first one who called me when I got my pro card. He goes,
Really?
took you long enough.
Oh, well, that's nice at least. He came around.
No, he was putting a fire. That's how he did it. He put
Oh,
the fire in me.
that's
Because
awesome. He knew you
you get,
wanted to prove it.
yeah, whatever works.
That's awesome. See, I love that you not just take pride in like the actual job, but the underlying aspects of it, the passion, the encouragement, what you said in the very beginning too, being a woman who is there to empower and also demonstrate and lead. Now, there's a lot of people who want to get involved in the industry, but they don't know how, they don't know where to start. Like they don't know, oh, I want to expedite. How do I do that? I want to learn, I want to test judge. How do I do that? How do people learn about opportunities so they can find the things like what you've done?
So I think, and it's probably the last thing you're going to expect, everyone who wants to play a role, go to the website, learn it, learn
Mm,
the rules, learn all the rules, learn the disciplines, go to the NPC Worldwide, go to the IFBB Pro League page, educate yourself so that when you go to that table and say, and then go watch a show, let yourself be seen. If you want to expedite, watch and learn. Pay attention. Watch clips. There's so much information out there. I can say that the first time I expedited, and I've expedited up to national level shows, working hand in hand with the head judge, and you create that relationship and you both crave success so it works. But I remember just kind of lagging behind and working with the head expediter
mhm.
and a little more time, another show, and then I took over. You have to be a bit alpha when
Mm,
as an expediter, but you have to be respectful. You
mhm.
can't touch these competitors, but you have to direct them. You have to be a flight attendant. You have to be
Yeah.
air traffic control. You have to learn hand signals. But I honestly think the first step is know the craft. Know the
Mm,
craft. Know the federation. Know the rules. And then when you present yourself to a promoter or to a judge, then say, listen, I've studied. I really love this. I'm inspired by it. Can I test judge?
mm,
And it's really as simple as that. We have an ambassadorship in Canada where there's a test you go through to become a CPA ambassador. We have a lot of Canadian IFBB pros who already fill that role. Um, and it's lengthy. There's a lot of information, but it's really, really good information and it's great knowledge to have. I know almost all the judges in Canada. because of that. You just have to, you have to keep pushing to do it. A lot of shows have all their people in place, and that's what makes their show successful. But people come and go. You just have to be at the right place at the right time to show initiative, be willing to work hard. And God forbid you get that opportunity to work at a show and you spend all your time doing selfies with the competitors, you're done. You're done. It's not about you. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be about the competitors, the promoter, the fluidity of the show. It's not about you. You shouldn't have selfies by the end of that weekend,
Mm-hmm.
except at the restaurant after.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? It comes
Yeah,
back to, why do you want to do it? Because there are
exactly.
some that want to do it to get in free to a show.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it at
Yeah.
my shows. I've had that happen. I have a very solid crew of people. I don't like others coming in
Yeah.
because
It's a
my
business
people,
too.
and who suffers? It's the competitors.
Yeah, exactly.
If not everybody is running in synchronicity to each other,
Mhm.
something goes wrong.
Right.
And if you've got one person in there, oh, here, come in, you don't need a ticket. Oh, here, uh, like let's do a selfie, and or start working the sponsors to try and get a sponsorship. I've seen it all.
No.
So that first time you get an opportunity to work in an event, work the event.
Yeah, that's good advice. It also, I think, will separate the passion, the passionate ones from
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, the ones who are just doing it for personal gain. I think that goes back to an earlier point about respect as well. Something I often will explain to people when it comes to like the comparison mindset, regardless of if it's in competing in the girl next to you or if it's comparing to someone who's further along in maybe the industry in a position you want to be in. I think comparison sometimes can demonstrate a lack of respect versus a promotion of who this person is and what they've accomplished to get there. Like when it's a negative comparison where someone's like, "Oh, like I should be there like this person and why can't I be more like this person?" They forget that there's been so many steps taken to learn and to be mentored or mistakes made that we can't skip to being the master we admire. Jordan Peterson, home to you. He has a great quote, which is the fool precedes the master. And I really love that because when we can get so caught up in, why am I not here? Why am I not there? Why haven't I this? Know that it's okay to start as the person who's learning to go under someone's wing like you did in your journey, and that helped you to grow so much. And now look at you, and that passion is what was always there to help you proceed in that.
Yeah. You can have so much fulfillment in anything you do. If you're if your heart, if you know your craft, you'll sell it. You don't have to
Mhm.
you don't have to convince anyone because you'll
Mhm.
speak it. You'll speak your truth. If you love something, you'll do it. If you're in it for the wrong reasons, it's transparent. It shows
Mhm.
eventually. I think that, and I don't want to come off as harsh with that whole make sure you go in. Like some people are starstruck, and I get it. But it is very important to service what you're doing and to service it well. There are a lot of things that are at risk with this. As a competitor, it's the same thing, right? Like you running social media, this is a big thing. You've competed in a show, and everybody around you said, "You've got this. That should have been yours.
Mhm.
They're wrong. They chose wrong." And then it goes into the comment section.
Mhm.
People need to be very, very careful about placing blame. It's not an attractive thing.
Mhm.
And when you go in and start saying the judges had a favorite, or so and so was training and the judges are listen, the judges don't know who your trainer is.
Mm,
They're all giving their day sitting at a table,
mm,
watching repeatedly, and they're judging you based on their knowledge, their experience. And that's probably my biggest pet peeve is when I see trainers or competitors go into the comments on posts
mhm.
and attack judges, the judging, saying it's crooked, saying it's not. It's not. Because if you're a person watching via social media, pictures don't give the full picture.
Yeah.
They're sitting, they're sitting right at these competitors. They're seeing something different. Even
Mm,
the live pay-per-view is not like being in there in
mhm.
real time. I wish people would stop doing that. I wish they would stop taking it to the comments. The other thing I wish would stop is when they go after a competitor who won.
Oh, that's really
Your
bad.
your pec was horrible. Your biceps are this one should have won. You sucked. It breaks my heart. I'll go
Yeah.
in and I'll turn off the comments.
Yeah.
Some human being, someone's son, someone's daughter is
Mhm.
being just ripped apart for
Yeah.
winning. I hate that. We're
Yeah.
not that, we shouldn't be that kind of people. I know it's a passionate sport, but if I could get rid of anything, I would get rid of the disrespect to the judges and leave the competitors alone. Be
Mm.
kind. Congratulations, whether you think it or not, or tell you what, keep scrolling.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut it.
Exactly. Unless you have the well, most of those people haven't even stepped on stage themselves, which is a whole other yeah, the keyboard warriors. So I I know I'm like looking at the time and I'm like, oh, I don't I want I could I literally could talk to you all day. There's like a million directions I want to take this, but I'm gonna go back to my notes because I was like, I kind of want to
We can
go.
always do a part two someday because I'm not done.
Oh my gosh, I'm not ready for this to be done. You said earlier, you said separation. Separation as a mom from the sport. You also said that there were times where, so you separated competitor from MC promoter, and then it was mom from that. So when it came time to like how, first of all, how did you know you wanted it to be separate, and how did you know and assure yourself it was okay to step away? Because I see a lot of athletes struggle with the idea of it's okay to separate yourself, even if you haven't won your pro card yet, even if you haven't achieved what you want to achieve, it's okay to step away and focus on some other aspect.
It was so easy. Babies are babies for a minute.
Mm,
I, for whatever reason, didn't think that I'd be able to have children. I competed, I dieted for year after year after year. I meet this incredible man. Why should I be so fortunate to have a child? I've
mm,
been given so many other amazing things. Why why do I deserve to have a child? Well, once
mm.
I was blessed with that pregnancy, and we had 3 miscarriages.
Wow.
So the first one, right out the gate, it worked. But
Mhm.
then we miscarried in between. And I couldn't work out. I
Mm,
have just the way my anatomy is. We figured out that my workouts were causing miscarriages.
mm.
So in that moment, it's not a choice.
Yeah.
It's it's there is no choice.
Yeah.
My children, and again, like I said, they're young and babies for such a short period of time. And you know what was said to me, and I've repeated it so many times? We're not going anywhere. The stage will be there for you. You will always have our stage,
Yeah.
whether it's 35, 45, 55, 65. We're not going anywhere.
Right.
I want women. I think when I came back in my 40s and realized I was kind of a lone ranger,
Yeah.
I wanted women to be allowed to still Be
Mm-hmm.
viable. We're
Mm-hmm.
we're by the calendar, it says we're a little bit older than everybody else, but I've seen some absolutely jaw-dropping physiques
Yes.
over the span of my career to this day that don't reflect their age
Uh-uh.
by any stretch.
Yeah.
And there's this misconception that you have to dress old, look old, be old, act old. No, no, no.
Mm.
You're limitless. As long as you're walking on the ground and not under it, you're limitless. That
I,
would be my biggest message. Don't stop. Don't let age define. There's no expiration date until you're done. Until
mm,
then, live loud, loud. Do
mm.
the shoot, do the stage, do whatever. Just do it.
Wow. And you've had so many instances in your life too, where the potential of not doing has been right in your face, not seeing your husband again, not having your parents, not having this child. So you've gone through these challenging life experiences that have almost even amplified that message of doing. And clearly, you've had a lot of success both in your personal life and competing life and professional life, and as a master's competitor as well. And I kind of want to hear about your perspective on masters versus open, because there's a lot of talk about masters competitors competing in both. And they go, should I do both? Should I not? Should I just do masters? Should I do open? So yeah, so provide some insight from your experience and your views on this and what athletes can consider if they are debating on competing in both.
So I didn't so I got my pro card in 2019 and then COVID hit. I had
Mhm.
done one pro show before COVID hit. Coming out and hitting the stage again, I did the Hurricane Pro. I came third in my age class, and I made the qualifying round in open. When I made the qualifying round in open, it told me that I'm not done
Yeah.
as an open athlete. So that's a discussion with your coach,
Mhm.
because I don't feel that it's wasting the time of the open athletes if
Mhm.
as a master you go and do open. You're an IFBB pro. You're not just an IFBB master pro. You are an IFBB pro. If you want to do the open, you get in the open. I did so I did the Hurricane Pro in 2022, and then in 2023 I opened up with the World Master Pro. Gary Udit
Mhm.
runs that the same weekend as the North Americans. I got third in that one with the best of the best.
Yeah.
I was uh, just awestruck that I was in the mix. So my next show was Battle of the Bodies, and that was Janet Leog's show. Um, I won 50 plus, and I placed third in the 40
Mhm.
plus, and I did the open again. I got 15th out of 30,
Wow.
I believe. So to me, I'm still in the mix.
Yeah, that's
I'm still in the
awesome.
mix. I went on and did the Daytona Pro. I won 55. I won 50. I came second in 40. I'm going to be 56. I came second in 40.
Awesome.
And I did the open. I think I was 16th in the open. And then everyone's, or no, 50. Okay, now I don't even know. But I think you should base your decision on competing in the open on your success in the Masters. I think
Mm.
that's a reasonable guideline. If you're not sure, to me, no brainer. If you're at a show and there's an open, get your ass in it. Have fun. Have fun. Inspire those young ones that
Yeah.
you're still doing it. I don't think they mind. I think,
Agreed.
like, when I did the open and all the classes that I did, we're joking around backstage. There's no pressure on me.
Yeah.
I'm doing an open. It was the easiest lineup to do. The masters, that's where the pressure is. So to me, I think go with your heart. Just feel all of it. Feel all the feels. If it means that, but don't put yourself in a position out of necessity. Do it out of joy, and then you're never wrong.
Yeah, great point.
You have to go with your intuition. And both of those shows, so well, three. I had just lost my father-in-law
Mm.
right before the Gary Udich show, the
Mhm.
World Master, the IFBB World Master Pro Championships. And he said to me, you don't slack off just because this is happening. You go. So I
Mm.
went. And then between dates, right after that, actually, that was the beginning of September. Between September and October, my mom was failing. And
Mhm.
she said to me, I didn't birth a quitter.
Wow.
So
Mm.
So I went and I did it, and she promised me she would wait, and she did. So when I got back, she passed 2 days later,
Wow.
and she was 91. She lived an incredible life. She was
Thank-
the strongest, most incredible woman ever. And she pushed me to finish what I started. And she actually had never, ever said, go win. And she told me to go win. So
Wow.
this year will be really different competing because I don't have that, not, yeah, the
Yeah.
stress, the unknown. Is she
Mm.
going to be alive when I come home? I came home between each show where I was supposed to stay in the States. I mean, I didn't. Um, I'm so glad I came home because I got to be with her each time. And when she passed, I just felt very okay. I was right by her side, right
Mm.
with to her last breath.
Wow.
And it was amazing. Like I watched her skin everywhere tighten up. It's like she was going back in time to go meet with my father and they'd be young again. It was the most,
Wow.
like, I'm sure it's because I was exhausted. I
Ah,
manifested all this,
wow.
but at no point with either parent or my father-in-law do I harbor like any guilt.
Mm.
They passed as they wanted to, and they told me what they wanted me to do, and I
Mm.
did it. So
Wow. I think that empowerment of them saying to you to go and get it, go finish the job, to get it done, it it demonstrates your willingness to stay was greater than your willingness to go compete. But because they encouraged you to go compete, you could come back and know you did, you honored their wishes, and that was like their last wish for you, really.
there was just no celebration, though.
Yeah.
That I couldn't do. I I did like a little, we had my friends and I, we had a little bit of fun. But how do you celebrate? It was such a successful year, like three pro show, wins and or three class wins and just this fight or flight. But I didn't really celebrate after. I just tried to stay afloat because I got very angry.
Mm.
October, December, January, I was very angry. I was weightlifting angry. I was bodybuilding angry.
Mm.
And it was like a really good outlet. I think I needed to do it because I had no opportunity to really ingest what was happening during my shows.
Mm.
And it worked because I piled on some pretty good muscle.
Seriously.
You need to have the gym is an incredible place. The gym is a great place when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're angry. There is no wrong time to work out. It's 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 probably saved me.
Yeah. It provides a space to like go within and feel those things physically too, or distract to some degree, so later you can feel them and process them. And I think sometimes in loss, because I lost my mom as well, and I remember feeling like none of this matters. None of this matters. I became very like apathetic, but I kept going because I knew there was a version of me that at one point believed it was a worthy endeavor to pursue. So I kept showing up, and that kept me going. You said it saved you. And I think, having the routine of bodybuilding, having the routine of nourishing my body well, having the routine of moving, it helped me. But I do know through loss, it can challenge our perception of routine. It can challenge what we do. And you had shared in a post that you kind of fell into a darkness, a place you had never been before in your journey. So how did you come out of that darkness and find your structure and find your routine again?
My coach, Evan Lagasse, is a man of deep faith.
Mm,
He reads scripture to me. He mentors me, both mind, body, and soul. I accredit him to that. And I can't tell you one specific moment where everything was just okay,
mm,
except he would just let me tell him, I'm so angry. And I even like I took to the bottle a little bit. I I don't drink.
mm.
That is so counterproductive, especially someone suffering from autoimmune disease.
Oh, yeah.
Around Christmas time, I took to the bottle and I got drunk. I was just like first Christmas, two people that were important gone. I was just so mad. I was so mad. Um, Evan, Evan did something. He prayed on me. I know that. Prayed on me a lot and allowed me to speak mean things, say
Mhm.
mean things, purge it, because it's not purging that makes you bad.
Great.
Purging takes courage. And it's through purging that you detox your soul and the bad. And I just always am this happy person, bubbly and in the gym and joking and laughing. And I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
I was mad. And he let me curse,
Mhm.
just get really angry. And then he'd pray on me, and then he'd give me tools.
Mm.
And then he gave me macros.
Yeah.
And then he gave me a
That's
diet. And then he gave me direction.
mm.
And he said, what shows are we doing? I said, I don't know. He said, let's get your body in shape and see what you look like this year. So I have not a show in mind. I am on macros. I am um, changing. Often now I see the change, but I will compete when my body's ready
Yeah.
and we'll pick a show at that time.
That's I think that's a great approach in general, but two, especially with everything that you experience, that journey of yourself and witnessing parts of yourself that aren't usual for you to present to the world or in general. And to have someone who holds a space for you to express this broad range of emotions is invaluable, especially when it's held in a compassionate way where they're like, yeah, it's okay to be mad, or yeah, I'm here to listen, and I'm not gonna tell you to hurry up and heal. We're gonna take this one moment at a time. That's such a beautiful thing, and it demonstrates something that you had said in the beginning of your journey was difficult, which was seeking help. You actually allowed yourself to be helped, and I think when you something I've learned in my own experience with emotions is that the deeper you allow yourself to go with the emotions, the more you end up learning and can apply it or grieve through it or learn from it and then have a better experience next time where you're more equipped to deal with it. But also it gives you this this outlook on yourself that, yeah, just more compassionate. I'm a human being. It's okay if I'm not always the happy-go-lucky version of me. And when I lost my mom, I went a whole year without people telling me something they used to always tell me, which was, you light up the room when you walk in. It's so great to see you smiling. You're so happy. So when you said that, that resonated with me because I think it took, I don't think I got that compliment again from a stranger for like over a year after losing my mom. And it affects your body, it affects the way that you carry yourself. But the fact that you let yourself go through it and feel it, and you had someone there to support you, and now you're embarking on this, whatever comes, comes. And whenever my body's ready, I'm ready. It sounds like it's been a very transformative journey spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
When I do step on stage, it will be still in a place of humility
Mm,
and gratitude,
mhm.
m- minus stress.
Yeah.
Well, outside stress. As
Mhm.
competitors, there is stress.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. There's always going to be a challenge that presents. And do you know what? Bring it. Why am I who I am? Why are you who you are? Why do you do what you do? And give this platform to people to have these discussions because your hardships are now your strengths.
Mhm.
And the things that my husband and I went through with cancer,
Mhm.
or, the things I went through with miscarriage, the things I go through with autoimmune disease, if I kept that all to myself, it's for naught.
Mhm.
It's it's all for naught. After my husband was diagnosed, and his was firefighter cancer.
Mhm.
So it's called presumptive legislation here in Canada, where it's workplace cancer.
Mhm.
So because I went through this whole process with him, the Ontario Firefighters Association asked me to be a keynote speaker at their health and safety symposium to talk about Tyler's story because he didn't fit the criteria. 40 years old, never drank, didn't smoke, didn't party. He had just done a shoot for our firefighter calendar. That
Wow.
cancer was 366 days old. He didn't look
Wow.
like cancer. So the disconnect there with our men, our glorious, beautiful men,
Mhm.
is that prostate exam, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Colonoscopy, no way. Yes way. Yes way.
Mhm.
Yes, you go for that scope. You go for that prostate exam. I've got a friend who's not even 40 who's battling testicular cancer.
Mhm.
Guys need to advocate.
Yeah.
So they felt that my delivery as a wife, not a
Mhm.
doctor, was in
Mhm.
English. It
Mhm.
was in English. I would go and stand at these fire halls. If I was emceeing a show, I would go find their main fire hall and I'd say, my name is Cindy Popowich. My husband is a cancer survivor, workplace cancer. Can I talk with your guys? Only if you're comfortable. Absolutely. Not once did anyone say no. And then it got other fire halls got wind of it and they would bring me in to speak.
Yeah.
Anything you go through in life, any negative, make it a positive.
Yeah.
Change, change the template. So
Yeah.
Todd once in a while hears from people saying, or well, actually, the adjudicators,
Mm.
ad- uh, advocates
Uh,
anyway, that
Uh-huh.
we had working on our behalf, they said that there was an 18% increase at one fire hall of people going for physicals.
Wow. That's
So,
huge impact.
but you got to speak to them in English and you have to show them here's this healthy guy and this is what happened to
Mhm.
him. You need to go, and I would say, stop being idiots. Don't be an ass. You've got children, you've got a
Yeah.
wife, you're gonna saddle them with all this when you could just go for a doctor's appointment.
Right.
No? So I think that applies to everything. You losing your mom at a young age because you're a young girl,
Mhm.
and that's difficult. But you're going to help someone. through helping yourself, through finding yourself.
Mhm.
I'm hopefully going to show people that just
Good.
because you have fibromyalgia, you don't lay on the couch and feel sorry for yourself. Because if you lift weights, you release those pain fighting endorphins. You
Mm-hmm.
release all kinds of endorphins. I don't take pain meds, and I'm
Wow.
no different from anyone else with it. I
Mhm.
wake up and I have to tell myself, you're hurting, but you're not hurt. Brain
Mm-hmm.
telling you you're hurting. You're not hurt. Go lift. Go
Wow.
lift. We all have a role. You can be a victim, and you're allowed to sit in that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a shitty mood, you are allowed to sit in that, but you can't live there.
Exactly. Mm.
Hmm.
Everything you just said was so beautifully put. It's like a mic drop moment, you know? It's like it is. And it's I love the point about not being a victim of circumstance and still having compassion for yourself and letting yourself feel, but not letting it be the detriment or the thing that holds you back. And you're recognizing this journey will be different for you moving forward. But that's life, right? It's constantly evolving with us. So my goodness, I hate that I have so much more I could talk to you about. Like I want to hear more
I'm
about
not big time.
we will do this again because I think it would be really valuable for us to even explore your experiences with miscarriages and with the autoimmune. And I think it could also be really beneficial to explore more about the relationship side of things because you guys have clearly endured so much together. Maybe I'll just ask you this now. I'll run a little late and it's okay, but you met him and then you got married the next month and then you were pregnant. Did you learn a lot about each other in that first like year, 2 years, and so on? Like obviously there's a time where I think you said you get slapped in the face, you know. But was there actually a learning curve as well within developing the relationship between you two?
So I owned a company at the time. I had a horrible pregnancy. I had to retire that company.
Wow.
He was a firefighter and a full-time firefighter and an air ambulance medic.
Wow.
This man is like surreal. But he was my neighbor growing up. I knew him. I knew of him. I went
Oh.
to high school with him. We had never done anything more than say hello and this and that. And then we were set up by another firefighter friend. And that first date was done for me.
Wow.
Um, yes, we got engaged in July. He had done a stint where he had to do advanced care at a hospital for training. He came back home and had an engagement ring. And it was
Wow.
2 in the morning. I was
Wow.
I was wrapped in a blanket. And
Oh.
then the baby, we got pregnant, like I said, in August. It was a really bad pregnancy, really, really bad. I was sick through the whole thing, and I was the size of a house. But anyway, so we had Aiden, and we got married when Aiden was a year old. But I was self-sufficient all my life. I was an entrepreneur. And then all of a sudden, in this little window at 8 months pregnant, I'm 100 dependent, 100% dependent on this man who stuck with me. I harbored guilt. I
Mm.
felt like this isn't fair to him. And
Mm.
the whole time he's like, oh my God, you're going to be the mother of my child. You're the person I've been looking for all my life. And all I'm consumed with is I'm a burden. It
Mm.
took so long for me to get over that and to realize that I was embarking in probably one of the most challenging roles of my life, and that was motherhood. So we've been through the gamut. We've been through the gamut. He did the cancer happened, and 4 years after the cancer, he shattered a leg because chemo had just devastated his bones. That was another 4 months in bed. Like we have been challenged what I feel like our entire lives. But don't for 1 second anyone think that they can come between that. Because we are so strong and
Mm.
so unified and so much in love. And our passion is freaking crazy
Wow.
for change because we're both in the gym too. We're both, this is
Healthy.
our, you know,
Wow. Oh, I love it. I love that kind of. I want to like message you more later. I just love to hear this. I'm going to message you, by the way, later tonight.
anytime, anytime. Ours is a pretty incredible, like that's 20. We're going on what, 20, Aiden's going to be 22, 23 years together. We had
Wow.
people placing bets that we wouldn't last.
Wow.
Like,
They owe you some money.
right?
Go on like have an extra wedding, just a 25th anniversary wedding.
We've
Renewal
never
of
had a
vows.
honeymoon. We've never had a honeymoon.
Wow.
And the wedding, I got the beautiful white gown, the whole bit in the church because my mom and my parents were staunch Catholics, so we did it in the church.
Uh-huh.
And then we had the party in our backyard
That's amazing.
because I refused to leave my son.
Oh, I love it.
He was upstairs in bed and we had a tented yard. We had the best time. We had just
Awesome.
like everyone's to this day was like, your wedding was the best because it was
Oh,
so easy and fun.
exactly.
But I think we're due for a honeymoon though.
Yeah, I think sounds like it. Although it sounds like your life has been a honeymoon, which is wonderful. Even through all the challenging things, you guys have had each other, and you can't want for much more.
There's no one I would go to battle harder than for my husband. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And people know it too. I remember he was getting like regular colonoscopies after
Yeah.
his because he had colon cancer. And the surgeon would do the scopes, and we'd both be sitting in the waiting room, and the nurse would call out Tyler's name, and we'd both get up. And she'd be like, oh, no, no, just him. And the surgeon would come out and go, don't even try.
Don't even, yeah. She's
I would
coming.
go everywhere. Oh my
Oh
gosh. Yeah.
yeah.
Are you kidding me? That was my baby. No one
Oh,
messes with my baby.
that's so amazing. I love this so much. Everything you've shared has just been so like insightful, valuable, engaging. Like I'm captivated, like I said.
I think there's going to be a book one day. Who knows? I'm
I
still
hope
writing. The story is still unfolding. I can't write the book yet. I don't know. Maybe someone will write it for me.
That's right. They'll compile all the podcasts you've been on into a big book.
Or
Of
or a short, maybe a movie. I don't
that would
know.
be cool.
But he's the same with me though, right? Like he's
Mm,
my advocate too.
exactly.
Um, we delivered Avery at home,
Wow.
and he says it took 10 years off his life,
Yeah.
but but his face,
Oh.
you know, delivering his daughter with the midwife,
Mm,
that's and that was my most empowering. If
wow.
you were to ask me when did I feel invincible, birthing my daughter at home.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That was
Un
planned to be that way, it sounds like.
well, to me it was. He didn't
Yeah.
know.
Like I got this whole thing set up, don't worry. My birth
Oh
plan.
yeah. I knew. I knew from about 32 weeks on, I'm like, I'm having her at home. She's
Mm,
coming, she's coming out at home. And he was amazing. Like he went into medic mode. It was
wow.
like, buddy, focus.
That's awesome.
Oh
Oh.
yeah. He's so good at what he does. Like now he's the chief training officer. Um, he never went back on the trucks after cancer. So his role is chief training officer at the fire department. And he developed, during COVID, he developed protocol for the firefighters. Um, he's done so much stuff. He's just brilliant. He's a brilliant guy.
Wow. He
Yeah.
sounds amazing. I love the way you speak about him and the stories you guys have. And like I said, I'd love to bring you back on at some point to discuss other parts of your journey too. And
Anytime.
thank you. I'm glad that you would do that for me too, because it's been incredible to talk with you. Like I literally am like, I don't really want to leave, but um
I
I
have to go eat.
yeah, I'm like, shoot, I have this. I'm like, I literally confirmed with them that I was coming. I messaged them while we were talking. I was like, I'm running late. Because I'm like, I need to be in this.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm like so happy about it. But I always end episodes with two more questions. So if I don't ask you, I'll be upset with myself. So what would be your best advice for somebody who has never competed before but wants to, and your best advice for someone who's on their road to pro?
Sorry, what was the second question?
Advice for someone who's never competed before and advice for someone who's on their road to pro.
Okay, so never competed before. Find the best coach who has the best accreditation, best word of mouth,
Mm.
word of mouth. Don't go by what they say. Get educated. A coach who knows food, who knows the training, get a coach. That would
Mm.
be that would be so important, in my opinion. A good coach. And then road to the pro. Uh, don't sabotage yourself. Don't 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 make it a thing that becomes vile, where if you don't win it, it's all encompassing and horrible, because you will, if you put in the work, it will come. And the day it comes will be monumental. I was 51, 52. I don't know. I was in my 50s. I
Mm.
don't think I'd have loved it anymore in my 40s. It was
Mm.
just so, when it's time, when it comes, if it comes, you're still the same person. You have a title with it, but God, just love your time on the stage. If you can't love your time on the stage as a competitor, maybe you're not in the right industry or the right sport, because it's subjective. They're telling you something based on criteria. And and let's say you're super hard and you're in a lineup that's soft. You're
Mm.
the extreme. You're not going to place well. There's so many factors that have nothing to do with who
Mm.
you are, what you bring to the table. Be a pioneer. Be proud. Put the work in. Be Have humility. Have humility. If it doesn't happen right away, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't negate the fact that you were there, that you worked for it. You worked hard for it. You
Mm.
know, I wouldn't be a pro or not a pro. I'd still be on a stage. I'd
Yep.
still be putting my heels on and loving it. Loving it.
I love that.
It's very hard when you want something that bad. I don't want to downplay being an IFBB pro, but it was never something that was my sole inspiration. And when it came to me, when I earned it, God, I was just so proud. Yeah.
Mm. I like how you said when you earned it, and I like how you emphasized how humility can be expressed and to continue and do it because you love it and you're on stage, and no matter what, whether you win the pro card or you never get the pro card, you showed up and you worked hard, and it's worth celebrating and enjoying. So I appreciate that advice, and I'd love for people to follow your journey, connect with you, be able to get in touch with you. So where can they do that and how can they do that?
They can, I'm on, oh my God, I'm on Instagram. I have my phone like this for 16 hours of the day because I run
Oh,
so
I
many
hear you.
platforms. So I think it's just at Cindy VEP underscore IFBB Pro.
Amazing. And we'll put that in the show notes. So you guys, that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you're listening right away, it'll be at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, scroll down to the category section, which is alphabetized. You'll not just find the link to connect with us, but also a full episode summary, a bulleted list of the topics we covered, and episode timestamps. So tag us when you listen. Let us know what you thought. Reach out to us personally. I know it means so much, especially to the athletes who come on and share their stories so vulnerably and openly to make an impact when you let them know that it did make an impact. So please do that. And if you feel so inspired to leave a rating or review, of course, that goes a long way as well. So Cindy, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Until the next time.
Yes, until next time. And to everybody listening, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just